Welcome into the coach's office. We got a great show for you today as we welcome in Andrew Murray, head coach of the North Greene High School football team.
And it starts now.
The following is a special presentation of the coach's office.
I never punt on Madden.
Go Noles.
I don't even know what Roll Tide means.
I mean, let them in. What is there to lose?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all right. Glad to have you in here. Why was everyone so concerned with the outfield play for the movie to be called Angels in the Outfield?
Where'd you get your shirt? Foot Locker? Uh-oh, Murphy's calling.
And now your hosts, Kyle Donahue and Matt Ripley.
How's it? Welcome into the coach's office. This is Kyle Donahue along with Matt Ripley, and today we've got a great guest. We've got the head coach of the North Greene Huskies, Coach Andrew Murray. Coach, how are we doing today?
Hey, we're doing good. It's good to be back from dead period, man. Felt good to be back on the field again this morning.
Definitely. Yeah, it was a good morning. Nice humid morning, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. But I spent my dead period in Florida, so it was like winter break up here.
There you go, yeah. Come home back.
That's perfect. Now, Coach, what made you get into coaching?
Man, I really feel like it's a calling, and that's kind of always the way I've looked at it, as an extension of my ministry as called by God. And I haven't always looked at it that way. When I first got into coaching, I was that young, full of pep and vinegar guy, hooping and hollering and shouting, not really doing a whole lot of coaching.
Absolutely.
But doing a lot of yelling, you know. But it took my first couple of years to kind of finally settle into the fact that I feel like I've been called to do this, and it took me looking back at some of the influences I had through coaches, going all the way back to Pee Wee, all the way up. I'd say three of the biggest influences on me were probably my high school coaches, Stacy Carter, Sam Haney, and Justin Hilton. I still see myself to this day doing things that I can remember being instructed by them to do. I still credit my attention to detail to Coach Carter. He was former military, very. Everything's got a place, and this is the only place for it. And I thought as soon as I got out from him, I could shake that, but I'm not able to. And I kind of found myself using that at home. I use it in my personal life. I use it with my kids now as a coach, and it's amazing just the influence that people have on you.
No doubt.
And I think all those things kind of pile up as you go through, and whether you want to or not, it definitely affects you as a coach. I'm just fortunate that I had everywhere I've been, whether as a player or a coach, I've always been surrounded by good coaches that have kind of reaffirmed that calling and using this position as a ministry. Every coach I've had has done the same thing.
Yeah, Coach Murphy and I talk a lot about that. And I've coached a couple different places, but he talks about you can learn something from somebody, whether it's good or whether you want to carry that on or whether you want to do it different, but you always learn something from everybody.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of something that I've carried with me. So where did your coaching journey start, Coach?
I started coaching at Sullivan Middle School. It's where I went to school at growing up, and I came home from Carson Newman. Knew I wanted to coach. And so I came home and took the very first thing I could, and I was at Sullivan Middle School, stayed there for 2 years, then went and helped get the Tennessee Delta Force program started here in Kingsport, the 1200 travel football team, and then got connected with Coach Josh Edens, who was the head coach at North Greene at the time. And I'll be honest, I had no clue what North Greene High School was. No clue where it was at. I knew where Bayleton Golf Course was, though.
Oh, there you go.
And so when I went for my interview, this was before I had a phone that had GPS in it, and so I just went to the golf course and had to ask how to get to the school.
That's awesome.
And so I roll in there, and I meet Coach Edens and all the other coaches there, and I was in school. I was delivering pizza. Didn't really have anything else going. I knew I wanted to coach. I knew I wanted to get into high school, and this was the only opportunity I had. And so I took it. And my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, going on 6 years, told me I was an idiot. I was driving to Greene County for free, which is about 25 minutes from where I live. Driving there for free to coach. There was no job was tied to it or anything like that. And I really feel like this is where God's calling me to go. And little did I know that, I think it was 2 weeks after I told Coach Edens I'd like to join him up, that a position came open within the school as an in-school suspension coordinator. And so I did that, and, God just kind of opened the doors.
Absolutely.
From that point on. And, again, fortunate to work with good coaches, Coach Edens. Then after him, I started with Coach Varan. And, just good coaches, good people, good men. I've been very fortunate with that, and always having that net around me of people that I can soak up information from.
And talking about, you knew you wanted to be a coach at the high school rank, and just knowing that you wanted to be a football coach, was being a head coach, was that ever in the back of your mind on this journey, or was that something that kind of came along later on?
I think for most of us, it always is at some point in some way. It's kind of far on the back of my mind, though. I was pretty happy, just being that assistant, just doing whatever the head coach said to be done, not having to deal with no paperwork, no administrative duties, no parents, none of that. Just show up, coach, and I gotten be pretty happy with that. But the opportunity presented itself, and again, going back to this being an extension of ministry, I had to go into conversations with God pretty deep. Is it time? Is this what you want me to do? Because if it is, I'm going to have a really big, hard time turning it down if it's presented to me. And so, it was presented, and I took that as well, here it is. So, whether I was ready for it or not, whether I wanted it or not, I'm not real sure. I know that I feel like God was leading me into that position. And so anytime you answer that calling, and you step out on that faith like that, it's always going to work out for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Coach, we're going to take a quick break. Again, we're with Coach Andrew Murray of the North Greene Huskies football program. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, this is Natalie, and I hope you all are enjoying this episode of The Coach's Office. I'd love to have you tune in to my show, Classic Throwback, where I talk all things retro and pop culture. Find my show on your favorite platform and hit the subscribe button. And check out my website, classicthrowbackpodcast.com.
And we're back inside the coach's office with Coach Andrew Murray of the North Greene Huskies. Coach, so now you're a head coach. Have you had one of those now I'm a head coach moments where you've moved from the assistant chair to the head coach chair? Has there been a moment like that for you yet?
Yeah, it happened pretty quick. And actually it was probably on this same day last summer. We came back from dead period, and that was actually my first, I guess, technical day in the position. And, we took the guys through workouts, and it didn't change anything. We just came in and worked out like we normally did.
Yeah.
And then after workouts were over, all the coaches are in the office, and everybody's sitting there. I'm sitting there, and one of the assistant coaches was like, "So what are we doing tomorrow?" And I just kind of sat there, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's me. I've got to tell them what we're going to do." I kind of caught me off guard. I kind of just, I guess I had lost track of the situation, but that's kind of when it hit for me. I was like, okay, I guess we're going to do this,
Yeah.
and it just kind of, we had a plan in place. I had some things laid out, but I hadn't really thought about it throughout that whole first day because it was our first day, and so I had a million other things going through my head, And then when that assistant coach popped up and said, "So what's tomorrow?" Oh yeah, so here it is. So yeah, so it happened pretty quick for me the very first day.
One day.
So, wow, okay, it's on now.
No doubt.
That's awesome.
So now, you've had that moment talking about last year. Now you're moving into your next year being the head coach. Do you feel better prepared? Things that you've changed and tweaked. Do you feel a little more confident going into this season as compared to last season?
I don't think you ever get into a spot where you're 100% comfortable. If you're really a competitor, you never get comfortable. But I do feel like things slowed way down this off season. We had from November to now with these guys, and so to have that time with them has really helped slow down things and give us a chance to get our culture started and start working on those off the field things that we didn't have time to put in place. I mean, at this time last year was when we came in. And so we were trying to do offense, defense, special teams. We were trying to get a team together.
Yeah.
And so we didn't really have time to start working on culture and standards and that sort of thing. So that's really been what we've had time to do this off season. That's where most of our focus has been.
Yeah, that's a good point, especially coming right out of the dead period. It's almost a sprint to the first week, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and I felt like we got held back at the starting gate last year.
Yeah.
But it's a little more comfortable, but you never feel completely uneasy.
Yeah, yeah. You're kind of looking forward to. You kind of know a little bit of the bumps coming up, right?
Oh yeah. As soon as dead period comes back, like you said, it's a dead sprint to get to August 23rd.
Yeah. So what's something? So you're kind of a young coach. I don't know how old you are, Coach. I don't know if you want to divulge that info.
I turned 30 in February, and
Okay.
I feel it every day.
All right. Yeah. Ripley's about 43.
30 going on 60.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So we talked to Drew Rice, and he talked about being a young coach and taking over. So what's something that you would tell a young coach who's just getting started in his career with I guess maybe the end goal of being a head coach? What's something you would tell a young coach?
The best advice I could ever think of, and again, this is kind of stuff you pick up from other coaches along the way, but just to be a sponge. First of all, be a sponge. Like you said at the beginning, whether it's the right way to do things or the wrong way to do things, there's always an opportunity to learn from people around you.
Yeah.
And the more you can soak in growing up, the better you're going to be better prepared you're going to be when that time comes for you to be making those decisions. And to be loyal. Loyalty is kind of a lost art in the world we live in. That's something we talk to our guys about just about daily, is being loyal. As a coach, being loyal to your head coach, obviously being loyal to your school, being loyal to your players, but then we try to pass that on to our players too, being loyal, to their parents, to one day when they grow up, to their wives, to their kids. Loyalty is a lost art, but it's something that it's one of the most important things. And not just in coaching, but in life in general. But to be a sponge and to be loyal are probably the two best things that I could tell anybody. And they're two things that I still try to, I try to focus on those two things every day.
Absolutely. All right, we'll be back with Andrew Murray, head coach of the North Green Huskies, right after this.
Matt and I would love to hear from you inside the coach's office. Join us on Facebook at the coach's office or on Twitter at coaching_office. Tell us some topics or things that you'd like for us to discuss on upcoming episodes. Also, if you're on Google or iTunes, go ahead and hit the 5 stars. Now, it's time to head back inside the coach's office.
We're back inside the coach's office with head coach Andrew Murray of the North Green Huskies football program. Coach, what do you think makes a quality football program?
I think it starts at the top with a standard. One of the first things we did when we came in last year was we set a standard. And everybody's held to that standard. We set it high. We don't play into the we're North Green, that's something that we hear a lot. It's North Green this, it's just North Green, a little North Green. We've put all that away. We set our standard high. We don't set our standard based on who we are. We set our standard based on what we want to do. And so we set that standard high when we first came in, and it starts at the top. I hold myself to that standard, and I expect at the same time, the team to hold me to that standard. I hold my assistant coaches to that standard, the players to the standard. Everybody's accountable to the standard that we set. And I think, successful programs start with that. I think it has to start with setting a standard.
Absolutely.
And then more importantly than setting that standard, you've got to have guys holding each other accountable to that standard. Because if you just put a standard out there and you don't ever revert back to it, well, it's kind of a waste of time. Why did you bother even talking about it? So that's something we focused on every day. Our standard, living up to our standard. We don't worry about anybody else. We kind of it's kind of like going through with blinders on. We know our goal, we know our objective, we know our standard, and we're going straight ahead for it, and we're going to hold everybody else accountable to it.
Holding everybody accountable, and I'll tell you, Coach, what I've really enjoyed just being a social media person and the way that you've plugged your program on Twitter and being a Greene County kid. I mean, growing up here all my life, and exactly what you said, North Greene this, and it's just North Greene, and I really think that, just seeing what you're doing with your HFL program and everything you've got going on, especially on Twitter there, to me, just looking at it, it looks like a totally different program, and I commend you for that.
Well, I tell you, man, that it's the community, man. They've got a hunger for it, and I didn't really realize that until we started that HFL program. And it was a thing that me and an assistant coach of mine, Coach Rosenbaum, we had talked about. We started talking about it in like November, December, a way to get the alumni back involved with the program. And about January, we said, hey, why don't we start a thing on social media? Let's get this social media page going, and let's just see who's interested. And, man, it took off. Mm-hmm. I mean, people legitimately care about North Greene football again. And that's what it takes. I mean, it's not just enough. We talked about a standard and the team and the coaches holding everybody to a standard. Mm-hmm. It's not just enough to have that. I mean, you want that community as well to be aware of the standard that you're setting and to hold you to that standard too. And, that's kind of a slippery slope to climb, because once you set that standard and, people are expecting it, well, you got to go out there and perform. Mm-hmm. And that's just part of it. But we've got a community now who is sold out for North Greene football, and the kids see that. The kids see people investing in them, mm-hmm. people that they may not even know. I mean, we've been bringing alumni in to speak to these guys about daily, and alumni that a lot of our players don't even know, but they see that they're dedicated to the program. Even guys that have graduated 10, 15, 20 years ago. That means a lot to a kid on the team now. That, wow, these guys legitimately care about what we do or don't do. That's motivation in itself. And so, bringing the community in it's all been part of this whole process that we've been trying to start to change. The end game is to change the culture of North Greene football. Mm-hmm. And we can't afford to leave any rock unturned. From the way our locker room's kept, to the way our field is painted, to the way our weight room is left when we're done. Whether you push a broom, sweep, mop, dust a window, whatever it is, everything leads back to changing the culture of North Greene football, and there's no detail too small to go towards that.
Yeah, what I like about it is you're bringing back guys, and it doesn't matter wins and losses down the road. It doesn't matter what your wins and losses were. You're bringing back guys that are like you said, loyal to North Greene, and that want to share in that brotherhood. And they're always going to have that brotherhood, whether they won 8 games, whether they won 4 games. They're always going to have that brotherhood with each other. And then you're adding into each year, you're adding into that brotherhood. So I really like that, Coach.
It's been great because a lot of our staff is also alumni. And so not only are we bringing those alumni in, we've got some alumni on staff too. So it's the North Greene football program is built on the North Greene football program. We're kind of building it from the ground up with North Greene folks. And let me tell you, there's no harder working people than the people in Northern Greene County, I don't think. And so these guys have really showed out to help get this program to where we want it to be. And everybody's kind of playing their part now, from the community to the players to coaches, administration, teachers in school. Everybody's kind of sold out and bought in. it's a great thing, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so you talked about culture. You talked a lot about culture. What all goes into when you were planning out how you were going to create this culture around your program? What all did you combine to go together to kind of focus on that?
I'll be honest with you. It's hard to look at the University of Alabama and not steal something from them. And their big thing has always been the process. That's kind of their turn of phrase, the process, and that's kind of what we've based everything on. Being a process, it's a 3-pronged deal, and that's how we introduced it to our guys. It's a what you want to do, it's a why you want to do it, and it's a how you're going to get it done. And all 3 of those things have to go towards what type of culture you want. Well, we obviously want a successful, positive culture that we've not had at North Green as far as football goes. And so our what is to change the culture of North Green football. And so then our why do we want to do that? Because the things that it's going to take to do that are going to set us up to be successful, whether it's on the field, whether it's after we graduate, whatever it is. The things that it's going to take to change that culture is going to make us successful. And then how we're going to do it, that's where all these little details come in. Taking care of a locker room, taking care of a weight room, doing the little things right, making sure my stance is the way it's supposed to be, make sure my cleats are tied right. All those things that add up to changing the culture. How I reflect the culture through my actions, through my words, through my social media. Everything that we do reflects North Green football. And so that's our how. How are we going to do it? Those are all the things that we're going to do. And again, they all go back to our end game, our ultimate goal of changing the culture.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to wrap this thing up, Coach, and just take a minute to tell the people what makes that North Green football program, number one, so special to you, and going forward, what do you see for your North Green Huskies?
It's so special, man, because it's a community. It's not anybody's program. It's the North Green football program. The community's bought in, teachers in the school, administrators, players, cheerleaders, students. I mean, it's become a Northern Green County program. And when you've got that kind of backing, it's kind of hard to contain sometimes. And it helps you get up at 6 a.m. to go to workouts by 7 when you know that you've got people like that supporting you and behind you and helping you build that program.
Awesome, Coach. We would like to take a break real quick, and we'll be right back with closing thoughts.
The coach's office is now looking for a title sponsor. Your name would be over the whole entire show, or commercial sponsors. If you or someone you know owns a business and would be interested, please contact us either on Facebook, on Twitter, or through our email, thecoachesofficeshow@gmail.com. And we'd love to have you be a part of the coach's office.
All right, we're back inside the coach's office with head coach Andrew Murray of the North Green Huskies football team. And, Coach, we'd like to thank you for being on the program today, and we wish you all the best of luck going forward on this season.
Guys, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for what you do for football in this area. I appreciate it. Be glad to be back anytime.
No awesome. Thank you, Coach. All right, for Coach Andrew Murray, thank you. For Matt Ripley and myself, Kyle Donahue, we'd like to thank you for listening in. And as always, if you're last one out, turn off the light and lock up the gate.
This has been a presentation of the Coach's Office, produced by Quotable Productions.